All right, does somebody want to say something?
Can't wait for Terrence's joke.
We have a different joke master today, actually.
Today-
Kuko has to
today,
earn his flowers, bro.
It's Puko's initiation today.
Yeah. So everybody needs to make sure to stay tuned till the end. We have some friendly hazing to do. But until then, we will chat about all
It's
the other stuff.
it's tough. It's not fair, right? Like Terrence, he's a BD guy. Like his job is to talk to people.
That's true.
Kuko
Yeah.
is a dev, right? So it's
Yeah.
like the dev jokes are always way worse.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. But to be fair, I gave Kuko a warning about 2 weeks ago. So I think he's been spending the vast majority of his time preparing for this moment. So that's probably going to make it even worse. Terrence came up with
Get him on stage now, because otherwise he's just gonna leave.
Yeah, get up here. There he is. All right, what's up, Kuko?
Hello.
There he is. All right, we're bringing you on stage so you can't run away at the end of this call. Cool. All right, looks like we
Fair enough.
have
I'm ready.
we have some critical mass, so we'll just kick this thing off. What's up, everybody? Welcome to our bi-weekly community call. Glad to have you all here. For some reason, you all keep coming to hang out with us every other Friday, so appreciate that. Yeah, yesterday was a exciting day. We launched Hidden Hand V2 finally. Took a while to get it out the door, but I think everybody's pretty stoked on the product, stoked on the new UI UX, stoked on the new markets, etc. So cool to see everybody excited. We'll talk a little bit about that later in the call. We'll kind of go over. I know we spent some time a couple of weeks ago, or a few calls ago rather, going over some of the new features, all of that, but we'll spend some of this call going over all of that again for those of you who might have missed it or forgot or whatever. So before we do all that, we should probably do the governance updates. So I think since the last time we had a call, 3 proposals have closed. So RIP45, use of treasury and pulse emissions to support the growth of PXETH passed, pretty much with everybody voting yes. I think actually 100% yes votes. So thanks to everybody who voted on that. Basically, this was just a proposal to commit an upper limit of 5% of Butterfly towards PXETH growth. So pretty straightforward proposal. Everybody can check that out on the snapshot. And then RIP46 passed, which is maintaining Aura as a tier 1 asset. So as you all know, several months ago now, I don't remember how long ago, I guess 6 months ago or whatever, we sort of voted to make Aura a tier 1 asset, where basically any Aura we earn from hidden hand fees we hold on to. And basically this just extends that relationship, I think, for another 12 months. And then on top of that, Aura has also committed to exclusively using Hidden Hand, especially now that Hidden Hand V2 is live. So thanks for everybody who voted for that one. And then the last one is just a vote to whitelist.
One stipulation on the Aura proposal is that if they like the agreement is void if they do use another bribe market.
Cool. So yeah, that should calm everybody's concerns about or using competitors and stuff, but that's mostly been a very positive relationship, so excited to continue collaborating with them. And then the last one is just a typical sort of whitelist proposal for a hidden hand, GRI, or which is the stable coin of, God, the name is hard to say, Gravita protocol, I think is how you say it, which is a new sort of LSD focused liquidity. I don't know if they're a fork, but similar to liquidity type borrowing system. But anyways, they plan to start using Hidden Hand, and they plan to start bribing with GRI. So I think potentially in the future, we might have them on a community call to go over potential collaborations we might have with them and stuff. We're pretty familiar with the team, and we have an open line of communication with them. So we'll save that for a future call. Karn it's Gravita, yeah, whatever. I mean, it's close enough. We'll just go with it. But yeah, those are the 3 proposals that have closed, I think, since the last time we chatted. So again, appreciate everybody voting. It's really important that everybody go vote. We need to make sure that we're active in governance and everybody has their opinion heard and everybody makes their vote count. So appreciate all that. So with governance stuff out of the way, we should probably talk a little bit about hidden
Oh,
into.
sorry.
Yeah, go
Since you actually just brought up the governance topic, I had conversations with two different people in DM the past, well, one this week, one last week, about PX Butterfly governance power. So at the moment, the governance power that you know you would have by locking the butterfly in PX Butterfly is sacrificed to no one. Um, like no one can vote on behalf of you as a PX Butterfly user on governance, even yourself. I wouldn't say that we've put much thought into um, how to solve this issue, just because there's other priorities, right? To be frank, there's other things that we're more concerned about. But the PX Butterfly number is growing, and it seems like people are starting to, enjoy it. And it's the same idea with all the Pyrex projects, right? Like, the main benefit of Pyrex is the unlocks. I think most people enjoy that part the most. And obviously, like as unlocks start to become a thing with PX Butterfly, as the project gets older, then more people start to come in because it's easier to arbit and all that sort of fun stuff, right? So, obviously now PX Butterfly is growing faster than it did at launch, and there's more questions popping up about it now. If this is something that like people really, really want, right? Like I don't know how many people really want it. We can spend more time thinking about how to solve the governance issue, but there's a reason that you get 5 votes to 1 if you lock the butterfly yourself, right? So because you're obviously sacrificing the liquidity, and if like you can just easily get into PX Butterfly and have the same votes as someone who locked up for 3 months. There's a few different like variables at play. So if this is something that people really want to talk about and like figure out a solution for, I'm open to it. But the short answer to the question is like there's no solution at the moment.
Cool. And Fungi, I mean, do you want to expand on what you dropped in chat or?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what Sammy said, right? Like, if you have a normal butterfly, which you can buy in into and out of really easily, you get 1 vote. If you're locked the RL way, you get 5 votes. But yeah, I think if this was something the community wanted, we could have something like between 1 and 5 votes. Getting like snapshot set up for PX Butterfly is quite straightforward. You just need to add another strategy. But yeah, completely up to the community what they want to do. Yeah, just need to mitigate the potential risks and kind of take into account the illiquidity that other people are taking on. If you are in RL Butterfly, you are showing, I guess, more conviction than if you're in PX Butterfly. Although we do recognize, obviously, that there are significant quality of life improvements for PX Butterfly, which necessarily do not mean that those who hold PX Butterfly are more any more long-term convicted. It's just that we need to mitigate that potential governance attack metric or vector. As we all saw with what was that stablecoin that got attacked?
Beans.
Beans, yeah, we don't want to get beaned. The only bean here is Greenberg's.
Okay. I don't know. Where did the Greenberg spark come from?
Because Greenberg's is green beans.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
green bean,
Okay. I was like trying to put that together in my head. Okay, cool. Is there anything else we wanted to cover on governance stuff, I guess, before we move on to hidden in?
I think there's no new governance stuff. Yeah, on that front.
Cool. So pretty straightforward. For anybody who missed those proposals, just head to Snapchat, check them out. But yeah, most of them are pretty easy.
The one thing I would add, kind of related to PX Butterfly, is that we are looking at spinning up a pool or seeding a pool, some small liquidity on a pool to help with liquidity on that front. Currently, the way to get out of PX Butterfly is to queue up for an unlock. So we're looking at different solutions there.
Sweet. Cool. So with that out of the way, we can talk a little bit about Hidden Hand V2, which launched yesterday. And for those of you who missed it, I mean, I don't know how you would have missed it, especially if you're part of this call, but I'll drop the announcement in the town hall text chat anyways. So yeah, I mean, this has been a long time coming. I think, it's been, the feature set has been kind of public for a while now, especially since we did the original governance proposal kind of outlining what everybody can expect from Hidden Hand V2. But the big idea here was to make Hidden Hand the most feature complete sort of bribe marketplace available to everybody, as you all know, and as some traders in this Discord know, there have been competitors that implemented some features that other protocols find useful, and we decided that we need to make sure that Hidden Hand is competitive against those alternatives. And I think that's exactly what we've done with Hidden Hand V2 with the introduction of range bribes, the introduction of limit bribes, the UI UX improvements that we made, the expansion to Arbitrum and Polygon ZK EVM, also the introduction of new markets such as Pendle, Premia, Aura on Arbitrum, etc. So yeah, I mean, I think it would be cool if we can kind of dive into why the new bribe options are interesting for partners, but somebody smarter than I will have to explain that. So Never or Sammy or Funky, if any one of you guys want to take that.
I can. Okay.
Oh,
You go ahead. You talk about the bribe stuff. I'll talk about all the other features and markets.
yeah. We have two new types of bribes. We still have the old bribe for, where people would just deposit incentives and it will just get paid out based on the people who voted. We have another bribe where it's like a fill or kill, a bribe where you can actually specify the amount of tokens you want to give out per vote. So you can price it that way, where if that gets reached, it'll pay out. If not, it won't pay out. That's useful for markets where there is no delegation, and especially like in those situations where bribers put money up and then get like 10 votes. It didn't really make any sense. It would just be one person who follows the vote more than anybody else, and the protocol didn't get back what they wanted. So that's important for them. And then now just another UX improvement is protocols can actually like set up like bribe strategies, and once they have those, they can just deposit a bribe for multiple rounds. That should help with keeping the platform sticky, and especially with large DAOs that don't want to deal with putting up bribes every week, or just should make it a lot stickier, and all the our features should be somewhat ahead of the market now. There's no feature anybody else has that we don't.
Yeah, and from a terminology perspective, you have spot bribes, right, which is what everyone is familiar with from Hidden Hand V1. And then the first thing ND talked about was limit bribes, right? So essentially setting a fill or kill order, specifying exactly what you want. And then the range bribes is the strategies that you can implement to let people set like, for example, the Synapse partnership, right? Like they have X amount of SYN coming out over X amount of time. They could have done that through a range bribe. What's really cool about Hidden Hand is you can pair spot bribes with the range. You can do a limit bribe with the range, and you can pair up different types of bribe types to create a really custom sort of strategy that other markets just don't offer. So yeah, just like really getting ahead of that. On top of the new bribe types, a lot of people were complaining about the UI and interface, and that it's not really up to, I guess, redacted standards. So we have a new UI there. Shout out Molecule and Julie. And we have also new chains. So you might have seen before, like from the governance proposal, we did the Polygon ZK EVM. that is supported by the Polygon team themselves, which is really big for us. One of our bigger partnership announcements recently. It went a bit under the radar. And soon you should be expecting Polygon themselves to be bribing Matic for the balancer launch of the ZK EVM, if that makes sense. You can ask questions. We also did Arbitrum, which everyone wanted. We already were on Optimism from before, but now we're on Arbitrum. And the Arbitrum launch is starting with Aura's expansion to Arbitrum, but also Premia in the coming. Premia has like 1 or 2 things they have to do, and then we'll do Premia like in a 1 or 2 weeks. And obviously Camelot, which I think, unless you're a new face around here, we announced Camelot a while back, but they're still working on their gauge system. So lots of good stuff on Arbitrum. And we finally penetrated that market. So now we have Pirex there through GMX, and now we have Hidden Hand there through Premium and stuff. On mainnet, we added a market for Pendle with them. Yeah, that here is good. Thank you. We added a market for Pendle, which is something that you guys have all been speculating on for a while. I think like 2 community calls ago, I said we're doing something with Pendle, but no one actually guessed it was Hidden Hand. So new markets, new chains, new interface, new bribe types, and there's a few questions on the WETH harvester also. So one problem that like a lot of people were having was they ended up optimizing their vote for the highest thing, or they were using one of our delegate products, like the Aura delegate. And what happened was they ended up getting a ton of dust accumulated over time, and because we were still really focused on mainnet, it didn't make any sense for them to claim the bribes, right? Because you had like $2 in this, $3 in that, et cetera, et cetera. With the WETH harvester, you can automatically turn all of your bribes into WETH. Eventually, you'll be able to turn them all into PXE. There is a 10% fee attached to the harvest to cover gas costs, the routing logic, keeper logic, all that sort of stuff, and also that 10% harvest fee minus all of the operating expenses of it is the same Hidden Hand fee split, 50% to the treasury, 50% to the RL Butterfly holders. So that should be pretty good because we've done just over, what was it, like 25 million in bribe volume. And I think this is something that like a lot of people have been asking for. So another good sort of addition to the flywheel there. And yeah, Hidden Hand V2 is pretty dope. So if you haven't checked it out yet, go check it out. If you haven't shared the tweet with anyone yet, go share the tweet, et cetera, et cetera. I think that answers your question from before also, Swaggy, about like why the fee is 10%.
Yeah, I was debating whether or not we should ignore Swaggy's question given he's a trader. So just wanted to keep that in mind and publicly bash Swaggy right here on the call for being a trader of the community. But welcome back. Glad the new features are going to bring you back. So anyways, yeah, everybody's shame. Throw your tomatoes at Swaggy. Let's see. I think I saw one more question in the chat. For whatever reason, my Discord names aren't working. All I see is the first letter of everybody's name and then 3 dots after it. So I just have to excuse me for not saying your name. But when are we going to support bribing snapshot vote outcomes? Or is the huge fees not worth being the ones that facilitated killing DAO governance? Yeah, I mean, you kind of answered your own question there. I think like, you know, supporting bribes for just arbitrary like governance votes as a game, I don't think we're particularly willing to play. It's a dangerous one. It's not one that's requested from communities, and I think it carries a lot of risk to, you know, to ourselves, to DAO governance, and to our reputation as a team that people like to work with. So I think we can probably avoid that.
I mean, if it's explicitly requested for by the teams running that governance, we are.
They're talking about, I think he's talking about the own proposal.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Also, the last own proposal as well. they put up, I think it was a couple $1 million in like $4 million by themselves on the Rari proposal. I think
Yeah, I
last
mean,
year.
obviously it's super like context specific, right?
Yeah, yeah. If we are required, we have. I mean, the contract support it. So if there is big dollars to be made and it's aligned with the community, we can do it. But it's just a bit. Yeah, I don't want to get into like pay for somebody like the founder's Ferrari because he put up $1,000 bribe. Like,
Yeah, so not a game we're super like stoked to play. I think, yeah, like Never mentioned, it's very context specific. If there was a situation where everybody was kind of on board with us doing it, then maybe it makes sense. But until then, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Seems just like a dirty thing. HH helping finance the next founder mansion in Australia. Yeah, actually, so pretty much the entire Redacted team are now all buying mansions in Australia. We're thinking about building a huge like neighborhood compound out there, thanks to Hidden Hand and all of the shenanigans we plan on doing with that. Just kidding, feds, if you're listening. Anyways, it's a joke. Any other?
You could pay for all the mansions with just your salary alone, bro.
Yeah, I mean it's true, but I don't want to spend my money on you guys. I'd rather just spend it on myself. So Colton and Sammy got hot tubs in their rooms. All right, since Terrence is leaking everything. Cool. Are there any other Hidden and V2 questions that people wanted answered or whatever?
I mean, we can talk about the own proposal stuff too.
Yeah, that's
I
what I
think
was
there's-
gonna. That's what I was gonna move on to next. We had no more Hidden and V2 stuff. So, yeah, we did have a couple of people asking about the own proposal, and then somebody hopped in the town hall text chat before the call and asked us to talk about it. I guess we should give a little bit of context for people who maybe don't know what we're talking about. So, a few weeks ago, I believe, there were a handful of proposals that went live to introduce cooler loans. I guess on top of Olympus, where basically holders of Geom could borrow stable coins, I think specifically DAI in the treasury against their Geom at like a pretty favorable LTV and a pretty favorable interest rate. The original parameters, which I can't remember off the top of my head, ended up failing in the final vote. So they did 3 votes where people voted on a set of parameters like the LTV, loan duration, and the interest rate. And they did a final vote to approve those parameters. And essentially, the final vote failed. And so they're doing another vote where they're doing another set of parameters. And I think people are more on board with these parameters. Not totally sure. But yeah, I guess now we can kind of dive into what we think about them. I'm personally super neutral. I don't care either way. But Sammy, if there's anything you want to touch on here, if anybody has questions they want to ask us about the cooler loans, then feel free.
Okay, there's a couple of things that are relevant for us, right? Like one is the plans for their butterfly if the cooler loans passes, and then like a subset of that is what we plan to do with the allocation if the cooler loans pass, and then also what we plan to do with our and then also what happens with the LP on balancer. So there's like a ton of things that we have to work through and figure out what we want to do if the cooler loans in general pass. I think we're all like, obviously it's up to the strategic asset committee what we do with the but like it's kind of a no-brainer. I think like, like obviously we'd make our own liquid. But there is that is in. Do you want to talk about this, Funky? Like the situation with the LP?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so we have 2 positions. One's in the multi-sig, I think, or the old treasury wallet. We have about 290k SOM, and then we have a butterfly LP and balancer. I think it's like 1 or 2 million there. though, because we used the incur debt function with Olympus, it's much smaller, so probably like $200,000 worth his ohm there. So we don't have that much exposure there, because if we did close the LP, then we would just end up repaying back the ohm that we borrowed, and the interest rate was 0%. So not too exposed there. Exactly, guys. This is a bit of alpha. We're about to take off here. Take off. Not talking about the token, but the project.
Okay, Sammy, I guess you want to continue.
Okay, yeah, I'll continue it. Yeah, so basically, if you guys remember, there was another own proposal in, was it October? No, sometime in Q4 last year. That was around flex loans, which was like their other product at the time, where we could pair against ohm in the LP, and we wouldn't be getting diluted against the ohm rebases, because they would essentially match, like they would be rebasing the ohm that was in the LP, adding ohm themselves. That's like the TLDR. That LP token is in the custody of Olympus. Even though it's not that much, it's in the custody of Olympus so that they can run the contract that rebases the ohm. In this period, ohm is obviously like reduced the rebases down to 0. They look like they're about to soft RV, and we have to repossess that LP token from them, close the cooler loan, probably close that LP token. You guys might have seen that we recently launched an LP position with Arrakis on Uni V3, which has actually really helped with volume and stuff. It's actually doing pretty good for us. We can talk about that later. But yeah, we partnered with Arrakis. We launched a Butterfly ETH LP on Uniswap, and putting two and two together, the basic idea would be like deprecate the ohm LP, move it towards the Butterfly ETH pool on Uniswap and the Butterfly ETH pool on Curve, and probably like hold back on Balancer until like PX ETH and Dinero stuff, and then add that ohm position back to the cooler loan that we would try to get against the ohm, right? If ohm plans to do no more like development on the project, and this is sort of the end of Olympus, it's worthwhile revisiting what we plan to do with the Butterfly stack. I think like there would definitely be something that goes to the forum. If at the moment the vote that's passing would not put the Butterfly in a position where they have to like close their position or something, but like we have an agreement with them. If they do anything with the Butterfly, like that's a good a lot of supply would get burned. Let's just put it like that. So yeah, so like there's no short answer to all the question, because there's like 4 or 5 different like things that will happen if the cooler loans pass. But I think it's like a good thing to bring up now that like we're talking about it internally and just figuring out like what the game plan is if it does pass. I think we stand to benefit no matter what. Like we stand to benefit in any way, whether it passes or not. Yeah.
Cool. And somebody like highlighted your end of Olympus comment. I think that was like a hypothetical. So we're not saying that Olympus is done or anything like that. It's just a hypothetical situation, because it's hard to know like how all of this plays out. It's like a interesting development. So the follow-up question about our ohm. So if the contract is in their possession, you guys can't vote directly, or just ask them to vote for you.
So most of the Butterfly we have is in our possession, so we can vote. The vote ends on Monday, so I guess we'll see what it looks like and decide if we vote or not.
Everyone has to throw tomatoes in the chat. We had a little team retreat last month where we met some of the people on the team, and Terrence revealed to everyone that he has Olympus tattooed on him. So everyone has to throw tomatoes in the chat because Terrence got ohm tattooed on him.
Well, The worst part is he didn't reveal it. I just happened to see it and ask him about it. So he was trying to hide the
Bro,
tattoo.
Colton, what are you looking for, bro? Like, where's that tattoo?
Mind your own business, bro. Mind your own business. Look at all the tomatoes. Yeah, you can just replace
And
it with the
Carlton,
butterfly tattoo.
Carlton is a avid enjoyer of skinny jeans also.
No, I'm not. But there is somebody on the team who is. I had to borrow somebody's jeans. All right, it's not a big deal. But you know what? I won't expose that individual either because it's really sad and they need new jeans. Where did we meet? Undisclosed location. I needed to borrow jeans because we were going somewhere, and another person on our team claimed that you had to wear jeans where we were going, which ended up being a scam in the first place. You didn't have to wear jeans there, but that's what I was told. So, complete scam. Totally rugged. Yeah, it is what it is. Any pictures? No, we would never do that. We're all anonymous. We don't exist in the real world. Proposal to buy new jeans. Yeah, I'm actually going to post an RFF soon. We need money to buy jeans and mics. Jeans and mics. That's what we need. And I think the community can rally behind that. So we need all of your support on this. Yeah, firmly agree. See, we're all on board. RFF coming tomorrow. Cool. Is there... I guess we could talk about the Arrakis stuff since you brought it up, Sammy. I don't know if you want to talk about that, or Karn, if you want to talk about that. Either one of you, feel free to do some Arrakis shilling and kind of explain what the setup and situation is.
Yeah, happy to. So the TLDR of Arrakis is that it tries to span the whole LP position, still along the same full range, but it doesn't place all the liquidity like available at all times. If price moves out the current ranges, then it pulls out of the reserve and deploys new positions. And what this allows us to do is to better capture the volatility in the price movements, because like if there's a sudden spike, up and down round trip, if you're using a normal Uniswap position, then like, you just round trip that. But with Arrakis positions, you're able to do the buy low, sell high a little bit better. And we do have some preliminary data. So this has been running since the end of June, putting this in the town hall chat. So this is UniV3. You might need to log into Dune to look, but Arrakis has provided a public dashboard for this, and we are doing slightly better than hodling. This works. The other nice benefit of just having a Uniswap position in general is that Uniswap comes with a TWAP oracle. So for potential integrations that would require us to have a Uniswap oracle, or rephrasing that, there are some more possible integrations once we do have a stable Unity oracle. Yeah, that's what I'll say. If anyone has any more questions about Arrakis or Uniswap or LP positions, do drop those in the chat. But otherwise, I'll stop here.
Somebody said UniV4 ? But I don't think UniV4 is even live, right?
No, it's not. Yeah, that one we will think about once it's out.
UniV4.
It's kind of like it's not a huge upgrade like the same way V3 was either. It's kind of just like more custom. Like there's more. It's easier to customize a Uniswap pool with V4 rather than like it's a whole new swap curve and stuff.
Yeah, we'll probably just send all the treasury funds to Never's EOA, and he can play with the little pool hook things that they added. Let's see. Cool. I don't think there's any Arrakis questions. Are sex listings on the radar? I mean, not necessarily. It's not like a huge thing we're focused on at the moment. Maybe like in the future. I don't know. That's one of those things that we don't have a ton of direct control over. How are we going to work with them? Who are you referring to? All I can see is e ... So I don't know your full username. I don't know why my Discord's doing this today. Will the Arrakis fees be shared with RL holders? I don't know how the Arrakis fees work. The LP fees.
So I think in the original proposal, LP fees were excluded. That's when we originally had the Butterfly ETH curve pool. But if there's community sentiment to share those, we can do that. Because the only kind of thing there is that the fees are paid in the two LP tokens, so it could involve selling Butterfly if you want to pay out the fees.
I also think like when we talked to Arrakis, the idea was that we would recycle all the fees into like increasing the liquidity. But like, yeah, I guess like I'm down for whatever.
Cool. Let's see. Okay, here we go from Joker. Any updates on PXETH audits? So I'll let Never cover most of it, but we have them scheduled. Can say that. Never, if there's anything else you want to add to that.
Yeah, you're fine.
I can't hear Never if he's talking.
I can hear him.
Wait, can anybody else
Can you
hear
guys
him?
say?
Yeah, we can't hear you, Never. Wait, so some people can hear him and some people can't? Never try like disconnecting and rejoining or something. Yeah, Never's geo-blocked, I guess. I've never had that happen, ever.
It might have just been like his mic setting was too low for you guys. I don't know.
Bro, Colton, I just want to say that was the best joke we've had on community call.
All right, Never's back. There we go. All right, I can hear you now.
Easy. Yeah. So we have them booked. Code is really close to being frozen on PXETH. Just gas improvements going through over testing and stuff like that this week. So yeah, PXETH is it needs to go through a lot of like security process since it's a pretty big system. You have the built-in, just the contracts around just it, right? We need to audit the backend as well. We need to go through. We've added more features than most LSDs, like for especially for like more capital efficiency and stuff. So we definitely need to get those thoroughly tested. So kind of for the next couple of weeks, it's mostly on internal, external, third party, just battle testing. We really want to have $1 billion in TVL in this LSD, and to put confidence in these large LPs. I think us taking the time now to make sure everything is super battle tested and can stand the test of time is a good investment from us.
There was another message that came in like in general chat a few days ago that was like ETHX, the stater who are friends of the project. So I'm not gonna say anything, but like they're like, oh, ETHX announced the same time you guys did and they launched already, and like the thing is that like we didn't fork anyone. Everything is like it's just like Hidden Hand. That was not a fork. Pirex was not a fork. Pirex ETH and obviously Dinero itself are not forks of anything. Sure, they might look similar to what you guys are familiar with because it's a pretty basic design, but everything was written by hand, I guess. I don't know how else you'd say it. So like we want to like battle test everything as much as possible, just like Never was saying, like if it was just a fork of something, like sure, we could have been on the market already, but there's no edge in that. So yeah. There's also another thing that like really mattered to people, and Never, you can touch on it more, is the distribution of validators in the system. So if any of you guys have been keeping up with the LSD space, a lot of people who are on the market right now, they are like, you know, they're focused on getting in as much ETH as possible, and then the validators come second, right? That is not the case with PXE. The module to have other validators enter the system and run their validators through PXE is part of the audit. That's correct, right, Never?
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, it's a very resilient system. Like a lot of LLCs haven't. That's another edge that we would have. You know, if you're not running your validators and you don't hold, like, there's not a distributed set, is it really self custody? That's another question you would have to ask about other LLCs. So we wanted to just really focus on that stuff. Even if some validators are run by us, all the keys are like all the assets, all withdraw keys and everything like that point to contracts. So even if you deposit ETH, it will come back to the contract. So we wanted to, you know, mitigate as much centralization as possible, so that, like, you know, this project can run, you know, 10, 20 years down the line with very little involvement or daily maintenance. If you want it to be, you know, pretty big, where, you know, if we do get $1 billion in TVL over the next few years, it is important that it is not reliant on us, and people still have access to those keys and stuff like that. So that's another part of the system that we had to build it from the ground up.
Sweet. So I think we covered all of the PXETH questions that we can at least answer for now. And I think it's Kubco's time to shine. So first things first, everybody welcome Kubco to the team. He's a dev, he's a builder, and he's relatively new. And so because he's new, he has to tell a joke on the community call, because that's the thing that we're doing now. So that's what it is. So Kubco, well, first off,
and get your crickets ready too.
yeah, everybody get your crickets ready. Kubco, well, first off, I do want to say also, I put more pressure on him because I told him a few weeks ago that this was coming. So he's had multiple weeks to prepare. So if it's bad, just know he spent 2 weeks working on a bad joke. Just keep that in mind. So Kubco, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Is it my time to shine?
It's your time. It's your time.
All right. So here it comes. Are the crickets ready?
They're ready.
Yep. How do you get a country girl's attention?
How?
A tractor.
I gave you 2 weeks. I gave you 2 weeks.
Thank you. Thank you. I like crickets. They always laugh at my jokes.
That was fucking horrible, bro.
I mean, we've had some pretty bad ones, and that
Terrence,
is...
do you have anything that can save that, Terrence?
I've got a real bad one.
We might as well. I mean, we're already at rock bottom here, so we might as well just let it happen.
Oh, okay. So, what most of you guys don't know is that a lot of the Redacted team is super religious. But do you know how I know this, Colton?
How?
Because every night before bed, I heard that Sammy reads the Bible.
All right, we're going to wrap this call up here. I want to thank everybody for Jesus Christ. I want to thank everybody for coming to hang out with us on this Friday. I don't know how Terrence managed to make a worse joke than Kubco's, but here we are. That's what we've become. And yeah, anyways, thanks everybody for hanging out. We'll get this uploaded next week. I'm sorry that we had to put you through this. Terrence has done, I think, 3 community calls in a row, and his jokes are deteriorating, which is not a good sign. Maybe we'll bring Kubko on next week to try to follow up from his fantastic performance today. But anyways, thanks all. We will see you in a couple of weeks. Peace.